Welcome everyone to another episode of Slasher Scotty. I am your host, Scotty McCoy, and boy, do I have a surprise for all of you. I have on Zoom with me right now for the second time now. This is the second time Bobby Heckman is on my show. First time we were talking about the upcoming fan film Victim No More. Now we're talking about the release of the fan film Victim No More. He is the writer and director. Hey Bobby, how you doing?
Hello, good. Yes, finally being released. Well, it is released to watch for free everywhere. But
Yes.
but actually today is a very important day. I'm glad you got me on this day because today is the day we approved the Blu-ray for all the Blu-ray sample I approved. And right before I talked to you, I talked to my guy who authored the Blu-ray and all the special features and everything, which there's more special features on this than like a lot of brand new Hollywood releases on Blu-ray now that they do. It's like, you know how you get like a Blu-ray now, say it's like a new Marvel release, and there's like a blooper reel, commentary, and maybe like a couple of deleted scenes. It's like, and like we don't like have a lot of making ofs anymore, you know. And it's like, oh my god, we did it like old school, like where like the menu is, like a lot of Blu-rays or DVDs, whatever, released now just have like a picture and you just press play and special features. Like we went back to the old days of DVDs where like the menu was like a motion, like it was taking you through like clips of the movie.
Yeah.
So it's like, oh my god, this is like so old school now.
Nice.
Well, what we would consider old school in
That's
the
awesome.
DVD
Yeah,
age.
absolutely. And
So
Victim.
yes, that's getting ready to release. So
Awesome.
by the end of the year.
Awesome. So for those that do not know, and haven't seen Victim No More, you will be spoiled, first of all. I was spoiled for the two interviews I had before I even watched it, but I loved it. I loved the movie. So many Easter eggs. And the first thing I saw when I started watching it, they did the New York clips and everything. I believe it was the New York clips. But the first thing I said to me when I seen like the people walking by and that, I was like, is that Bobby Heckman?
Yes. Yes. It was my little Hitchcockian like moment of just walking by.
I'm like, that's Bobby
I really
Heckman.
I wanted to be like, that's me, just walking by on the city streets. That was just my excuse to like, it wasn't really like, oh, for me to do a cameo for myself or anything. It was really so I could be directed by Catherine Mary Stewart, since she was second unit director and got all those city shots. So I was like, oh, I want to be directed by Catherine Mary Stewart. So she told me to like come walking out of the door and walk by. It's like, oh, that was easy. It was me.
Yes. So were you actually in New York City doing those shots?
Yeah. It was me, Catherine, and our cinematographer, Sean Q. King. Just spending a day in the city last September, September 2021. And just were there in the morning and we just ran all over the city, got all those shots, starting uptown in Central Park and working our way down Times Square and then down to the business district area down by the Village. We were just running around all over the place getting all those shots, and we shot so much footage. We got kicked off the Rockefeller Center shot, that big shot of like where you could see the Empire State Building and everything from the building level, see the Chrysler Building and stuff. Like we got kicked off. They're like, you shouldn't, you need a permit to shoot up here. And I was like, you saw us walking up with tripods and a camera. What do you think we were doing?
Right.
They didn't stop us in the lobby. So we, but we got our shots and we were happy about that. Yeah, I was wondering like how many people who saw it like would think like, oh, is this stock footage from something else? or like, it's like, no, that was just the three of us running around the city grabbing those shots. And Catherine, who lives in Manhattan, she was all about the guerrilla filmmaking style of just grabbing shots, illegally and doing whatever you want. Because it's New York City. There's like millions of people there every day on photo shoots and stuff and there's tourists everywhere with cameras and video cameras. Like nobody's going to question you if you want to film in Manhattan. I mean, it's different if you had like lighting rigs and stuff like that, but we didn't need all of that for like the opening title sequence.
Right.
And I had to throw a bone to the Jason Takes Manhattan fans, like even using the same font in the credits and everything. And
absolutely.
And I just, what's up?
I was gonna say, should have had like a boat, like just kind of lurking back, like from the New York Harbor or something.
Yeah. Jason's boat, the Lazarus,
Yes.
But yeah, I mean, even though Jason Takes Manhattan is like one of my least favorite films, like I just love the fandom of all of the movies.
Yeah.
So it's like, it's kind of a thing where like, I wouldn't want to just reference my favorite Friday the 13th movies. I want to try and reference all of them if I can, because they all mean something different to each and every fan,
Right. Yeah.
So, and it's a tribute film, so it's like I want to pay tribute to all the fans and the franchise and everything,
Now I'm not sure if you were asked this, and if Greg may have beat me to the question, I don't know, but if you when does this Victim No More take place? When is this Jason Voorhees taking place? Is he like after part 6? Is he in between 3 and 4, for example? Which that can't happen because it's like the next day. But you know what I'm saying? Like, when is this happening?
And he's all rotting and bony.
Yeah,
and
so it's definitely like
looking.
part 7
look. I kind of did it in a way where I didn't want to dismiss any of the Friday 13th sequels, because I know a lot of the fan films do that, where it's like, oh, this one takes place like 30 years after part 6, or this one takes place after part 7 and it ignores the rest, or part 4 and it ignores the rest. Like I'm not a fan of that. I don't like that. I don't like ignoring any of them. I mean, it's cool to have different timelines and do your own thing. Like that's cool and fun. But it's kind of a thing where like, all right, if you're not really a fan of everything after part 7, then it could take place after part 7 because of the way he looks, and that he had a chain around his neck and he got rid of the chain in the sequence where he comes back.
Okay. So
but it's also kind of a thing. No,
sorry,
go ahead. Were you gonna?
I was just gonna say, like, that the part about it was like, if it's after part 7, that would make more sense as well, because he's not wearing the mask anymore, the hockey mask. And if you notice in part 7, the hockey mask broke in half,
Yes. Yeah, he's not wearing the mask, and he just has the chain with the lock around his neck that he breaks. But I kind of like leave it to the fans' imaginations too, where like in my mind, I was thinking that maybe another survivor like heard about Tommy Jarvis doing this years ago, like in chaining him to the bottom of the lake, and decide, well, he stayed quiet and everything for those years. Like he was contained in Crystal Lake for years. Like maybe I should try that again. And somebody else maybe thought, hey, let me try to do that. So maybe somebody else tried to chain him down to the bottom of the lake. So they know where he is. They know he's contained, and they know he couldn't get out of there. But of course in part 7, that's not what happens with Tina Freedom. But but I thought like, hey, maybe somebody else tried to chain him to the bottom of the lake too. So that way it could take place after part 8, 9, obviously not 10 because that's in the future, but like, you know, maybe
2455.
oh yeah, 2455. It's after 2455. It's on Earth too. Hey, maybe
There you
it takes
go.
place on Earth too. We don't know where Victim No More. So I didn't want to be specific to where Victim No More takes place because I didn't want to like box it in like that. I wanted to kind of be like, I like to always compare it to like the Godzilla films. Compare it to like, hey, it's just time for Jason to return. You know, like it's June 13th. It's his birthday. He's just time to come to shore and like see
Yep.
who's in his area, and he wants to, you know, get him out. Well, kill him. So I didn't want to like be specific. I didn't think it was that important of when it takes place. Just that we know it's takes place in modern day. And he had been kind of gone for a long time.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
so,
And
yeah, so it's up to the fan, you know.
yeah. Now, for those that want to know some of the Easter eggs I caught, and correct me that if I'm wrong, and I'm sure I'm going to miss a lot of them. This is just off the top of my head, but at the end we have the people that are shooting up Jason and everything. Megan, Garrus, Jarvis now.
Yeah, I imagine that they got married. So
That's what I always thought. I thought they would always be a couple there. We have the lead lady that was there. What was her name? Oh yes, Amanda Shepard. Part 7. Was that
oh yes, that was an Easter egg. Amanda Shepard, who's seen like halfway through the film, like just jogging by. She
I didn't
just
even
seems
notice
like
that.
a random. Yeah, she's like a random jogger that runs by, and it's kind of like these women. In my mind, like every summer around that time, around June 13th, they kind of keep an eye on the area just to make sure Jason's not around and they could protect themselves, you know. So Amanda Shepard, you know, I mean, everybody's in it kind of briefly, but I kind of like, yes, she's supposed to be Tina's daughter, who she would have named after her mom, you know, as a, you know, because you know, families do that a lot. They like they name their kids after their parents or their grandparents.
I'm named after my dad.
You know, people
Yeah.
there you go. So
yeah, it happens.
Yeah, so I like to add that like relatability and realism to it. Like if Tina lost her mom at such a young age, like if she eventually grew up, you know, maybe got married, had a kid, I think she would like name her daughter after her mom, who meant so much to her. So yeah, so Amanda Shepard. And there was a sequence in the script where Amanda wasn't originally in that scene. She was going to be like in the mid-credit sequence where she would just have her own little scene where she does use her powers that she would get from her mom. But I had to do some rearranging of characters and script changes and stuff. And I decided, I'm like, you know what? Let Amanda be the one who shows up as a paramedic. You know, she was jogging earlier, but you see that it says Wessex County if you look really quickly on her shirt that she's an EMS, EMT. So she kind of takes Robbie away, the main character, because he's got a broken ankle. And I was thinking like, well, I could have just had her stay there and show off her powers and like, you know, maybe stop Jason from getting away anywhere. But I was like, you know what? It's kind of cool that they have somebody like Amanda Shepard, who's Tina's daughter, in their group, who is probably the most powerful out of all of them because she has telekinesis.
Yeah.
But they don't need her. They don't, because they're powerful enough, you know, to take Jason down with like the 13 of them, you know. Oh, 12 of them, I think. You know, just using bows and arrows and guns and stuff like
Yeah.
that. And I mean, Megan blows his arm off.
Yeah.
Um, and I thought it was kind of cool to have like Megan return,
Yeah.
Megan Garris or Jarvis.
Yeah.
And I know it's played by a different actress, but I thought out of all the final girls from the original franchise, that would be the one that fans would be okay with replacing as an
Yeah.
actress, because fans know that that actress never acted again after Jason Lives.
Mm-hmm.
So it's not like she would come back in any other form, like
Mm-hmm.
in even if it was a fan film. That actress is just never going to come back to
Mm-hmm.
act.
Yeah, I can't even
So I
find her
was like,
anywhere
well,
to interview. She's like vanished.
what's up?
I said she's like vanished. The
Yeah,
actress
she's
Jennifer
only
Cook.
in that. Yeah, she did Jennifer Cook, and she's only in that one interview that was for Crystal Lake Memories,
Yeah.
and that's it. That's the only time you really
Yep.
seen her in an interview. Um, but I figured, I'm like, well, if I replace that actress with like a bigger name
Mm-hmm.
who has like 100 movies under a belt, and is still acting today and getting into directing. And I mean, I love Catherine Mary Stewart, and she's been a friend of mine for like 10 years. And she's in some of my favorite movies, like Weekend at Bernie's and Night of the Comet, Last Starfighter, and
Yep.
Mischief. She's in like a lot of great
Right.
80s movies that I grew up with.
Which she ties in for Friday the 13th, because she is in Weekend at Bernie's, who was Terry Kaiser was in that, who was in Friday the 13th Part 7
Yeah.
as Bad News Cruz,
Hey,
who was
let's
also
Bad News.
the doctor of Amanda Shepard's mother, Tina.
Exactly. So there's all these Weekend at Bernie's Friday 13th connections.
Yes.
I think we should get Andrew McCarthy and Jonathan Silverman on Friday 13th, whether it be a real franchise film or a fan film. Yeah, sure. Get them all in there. But I love Weekend at Bernie's. I love Catherine. So she's amazing to hang out with. She's hilarious and smart, and she truly like helped mentor me during the filmmaking of Victim No More. Like she showed up on like days that she didn't need to be there, just to like be like a consultant and give her opinion of like how things could be and give suggestions. And I absolutely, thank God, for all of that, because some of her suggestions like wound up in the film, and I couldn't imagine it any other way now.
Right.
So yeah, so I thought her playing Megan, and plus Megan as a final girl in Part 6, I really felt like it was kind of like Tommy's the final boy in
That's
that
what I was gonna
movie.
say.
Like,
Megan is like the final girl you think of that isn't the one that many people associate as being a final girl, because Tommy kind of steals that thunder.
Yeah, he definitely steals the thunder. But like, and she only like got to really kick butt in that when she like has the motorboat fan kind of like chopping away at Jason's like neck.
Yep.
And that's kind of the only thing she does. And then she saves Tommy's life by giving him CPR. And it's like, well, those two things are great, but we like to see our final girls kind of like
kick ass.
Like kick ass for like 15 minutes, or like try to get away and like take whacks at Jason here and there, and kick him in the nuts and like hit him with hammers and machetes and stuff like that. Like, we want to see our final girl do that. So I thought it was kind of cool that like, all right, here's Megan after all these years, blow his arm off, like, and kind of be like, and have this confidence, be like, I'm sorry, Jay, like, this is it, me and my ladies are gonna just take you down right now. And if we had more of a budget, we'd of course show a lot more of what happened, but I didn't think like that's what the story was that we were telling, that was really about people coming to terms with trauma and facing their fears and stuff like that, and panning away from the end of the film, and not really seeing that battle as kind of like, well, the battle against evil kind of goes on forever. We're always going to have like people fighting Jason, and Jason's always going to come back, and it's just better not to show what really happened.
Right.
Because I just feel like, with Amy Steele's voiceover at the end, I'm like, well, that's what it's about, what she says.
Yeah.
And I won't spoil that, but Amy
Yeah.
Steele has a narrated, voiceover at the end, because
Yeah.
she's, and I speak for myself, and I speak for a lot of fans, that she is like most people's favorite final girl,
Yeah.
because she's the first one to fight Jason.
Right. And on top of that, she was
Ginny
smart,
Field.
and she used the child psychology to kind of outsmart him until Paul was able to kind of tussle him, where then she was able to deliver that final blow. So like,
Yeah,
she was
yeah,
very
exactly.
smart. Used her brain.
And I love, yeah, I love the subtlety of her being like getting into child psychology, and then the conversation at the bar in part 2 about, a boy trapped in a man's body, and what if the legend is true, and pining for his mother and stuff like that. Like it was so subtly and perfectly done, like that character building, that like it pays off so well at the end of that movie.
Yeah.
And I kind of thought about a lot of those scenes with Ginny when I was thinking of writing this movie, about that's why the scene starts off in a therapist's office with Robbie talking to Dr. Romero, Jill Whitlow's character.
Let me guess, Romero,
And I'm just like,
Romero, Night of the Living Dead.
oh, I thought I was wearing my George Romero shirt, actually. So yeah, Romero. Well, it's a night. It's also a Night of the Creeps reference.
There you go.
Like, it's kind of the thing, because I love Night of the Creeps and Jill Whitlow playing Cynthia from Night of the Creeps, and having her play Dr. Cynthia Romero.
That's funny.
In my film, it's like a crossover movie where it's like, oh, this could be the same Cynthia from Night of the Creeps.
Right.
And maybe she married Jason Lively's character from Night of the Creeps, whose last name was Romero. So
there you go.
I got a lot of like characters marrying other characters and changing their last names.
Right. And another, again, correct me if I'm wrong, another Easter egg on naming is the main guy, Robbie. Because if you notice in the like when he's walking through, he's at the places where Annie is at in the original, which is Robbie Morgan is the actress. So his name being Robbie. And then I guess you can also go with me, and it's more of a stretch this way. I think that was more the nod, but also Robbie Morgan in part 4, The Nurse with Axel. Nurse Robbie Morgan, played by what was it, Lisa Freeman? Lisa
Freeman.
Yep. So she was like she was named after Annie's real life name, Robbie Morgan. So it's kind of like that 3-way tie-in right there, which is pretty cool.
Right. And actually, where I did get the name, and then it's funny, it's great to like pay homage like that to Robbie Morgan, and and the Lisa Freeman Robbie Morgan. But in actuality, I thought of naming him Robbie because the character is supposed to be Trish Jarvis's kid, her son. And who was the guy who died? Rob Dyer. So I was thinking, like, you know what? To pay homage to Rob Dyer, who died trying to protect Trish Jarvis, she would name her son Rob after him.
There you go. So it kind of works in different ways. I got it from the Annie impersonation just because of the earlier, at the Crystal Lake, New Jersey, Blairstown, New Jersey area. But hey, I didn't even think of the Rob Dyer situation, which it makes even more sense if you think about it.
Yeah, and it's funny, speaking of the names, this is, going on a spoiler thing here. Also, I named him, I mean, and it's funny when he says his name to Amanda Shepard when they're walking away at the end of the movie. Excuse me. She says her name is Amanda Shepard, and he says, "I'm Rob Mahoney."
Oh.
And he says Mahoney, and everybody's expecting him to say Rob Jarvis, because earlier you see like a quick picture of his phone and it says Mom, and it's Kimberly Beck, who plays Trish Jarvis. But like he says his name is Rob Mahoney when he's walking away, so people are going to be like, Rob Mahoney, like who the hell is that? And it's like, well, when people get married, they often change their last names, so it wasn't going to be Rob Jarvis,
Right.
like maybe Trish got married and didn't use Jarvis anymore. Maybe he just got married to a Mahoney.
Right.
But yeah, it was also, Rob Mahoney is, a friend that's online and stuff. He runs a lot of like fan pages and stuff like that. I'm sure you've heard of him, right?
Yeah.
You know Rob Mahoney?
Yep, I know.
Okay. Yeah, I know him too. But it was also, and even more so, I used the last name Mahoney because I am a massive Police Academy fan.
Oh.
So Steve Guttenberg's character is Mahoney. Well, I got a little Mahoney right here.
Nice.
My little Mahoney toy, Police Academy toy. So Friday 13th will always and forever be my favorite horror franchise.
Yeah.
My favorite comedy franchise is the Police Academy movies. I adore the Police Academy movies. Nice. I love those characters and dopey ass movies. So I was like, you know what? It would be, and in an interview with Kimberly Beck years ago, that a friend of mine did, and it's actually a feature on the Victim No More Blu-ray that's coming out. In the interview, he asked her, where do you think Trish Jarvis, because you never hear from her character again. You know about Tommy, where he went, but you don't know what happened to Trish Jarvis after Final Chapter. And she responded with, I think she joined the Police Academy. So it took that piece of that interview, and
she married the Mahoney from the Police Academy.
So she married Sergeant Carrie Mahoney from Police Academy. Steve Guttenberg is Robbie's dad. So and it's funny, and if you rewatch Victim No More now and have that in mind, pay attention, because in the therapist interview in the first scene, he said, the therapist asked, like, what about your dad? And he said, well, my dad never really went through anything like what my mom went through. It's like, yeah, because he was in a stupid, comedy franchise that had no trauma in it,
That's great. That's great.
And he's wearing a Blue Oyster shirt, which is the gay bar from the Police Academy movies in that first scene. So, yeah, there's Police Academy references. I have to. I'm sorry. I know it's stupid. I know it's fan service to other franchises, but hey, I love it, So his name's Rob Mahoney, and her name is Trish Jarvis Mahoney.
Nice. So one question I do have that I need to know. Yeah. I asked you this after I watched it, I think, because I couldn't see what it was. In that lunchbox, when they had like, what was that? Like, when they opened the lunchbox, what was it? What was in there?
Moldy food. It was moldy food. No. Oh. Yeah, I said it's moldy food. That's what the character says. Oh, don't worry about it. It's just moldy food.
Right.
It's like a decayed animal of some sort, maybe like a squirrel that kind of crawled in there and died, or a rat.
Okay.
It's not very. I mean, it's definitely a skeleton of something.
Okay.
I think sometimes I think it's kind of cool that you only see it very quickly. I mean, you could pause it and like really take a look at it. But I like that it's so quick, and it's just a few seconds enough for the guy to be like, oh my God, it's and then drop the lunchbox. But I say it's one of three things. It's either a dead rat, a dead squirrel, or a dead baby velociraptor.
So maybe it came from the Upside Down from Stranger Things, another tie-in.
Yeah. It could be from Stranger Things. Yeah, it could be one of those creatures from the Upside Down. You know,
one of those like little things that was that he found at the garbage can. What was it, season 2 or whatever?
Yeah, in season that
Look at all these tie-ins.
Weekend
at Bernie's, Police Academy, Night of the Creeps, Stranger Things.
There's too many tie-ins. Listen, if like you have the opportunity to like the things that inspired you to love film, and if you have the opportunity, you know, like in a fan film or something like this, like to do it, then do it. Like, and don't hit it on the head. Like, don't like say, oh, this is that. I mean, I say that because that's where it's coming from through my heart of things, you know, like through my love of different, you know, franchises and movies that I love. But you don't have to like say that's what it is. You got to leave it to the fans' imagination. Right. You know, I feel like, and you could be subtle about things. And, like, I'm not a big fan too of like, I do like a lot of the fan films out there, but some of the things I don't like about fan films, and we're all picky fanboys about all this stuff. Yeah. So, you know, we all have our own opinions and it's all subjective. So it doesn't really mean anything to anybody else. But like, the things that kind of like I don't like is when they say the same dialogue from the movies that you love.
Yeah.
You know, like they'll say in like a Friday 13th fan film, they'll just say the same lines that they said in another Friday 13th movie, and it's like, yeah, I get it. You're saying that line from that movie that I love. I'm like, I'm not a big fan of that. That's just like a picky criticism thing.
I agree.
But you know, but then again, there's hundreds or thousands of fans that love that. Like, oh, he said that thing from part 6 or said that thing. I love that, you know, and it gives them the warm nostalgic feelings, you know. So and it's like, hey, that works too, you know. Yeah. So obscure or, you know, on the head, you can go either way with it, and it's still great to people, you know.
Yeah, there was one thing I was a little disappointed about the opening sequence with the New York shot, and I'll tell you what that is. So I was hoping, I sang it out loud.
Walking through.
Right, no, right. I was singing it as it happened because I'm like, he's not gonna do it. He's not gonna do it. I was hoping your sense of humor would have put it in, but the New York shots, and you hear the song in the background, New York. You know that song? I was hoping we were gonna get that.
Classic song of I Love New York.
Yep.
No, we had that in Jason Takes Manhattan, you know. So
yeah, that's true. We
had do it.
Not that song though that they played though. Just the what's it called? I can't remember the name of it. But you know what I'm talking about, right? The New York, do 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 do. It is new.
Oh, the one that's in the beginning of Secret Life of Pets.
Yes,
I think they use
that's the one.
They use it in the beginning of that. I think.
Yes, the typical New York song, something State of Mind or something like that.
Yeah. That's it.
I just started singing that when you were playing the New York things. I was thinking, I wonder if I should make like just that clip and just send it to Bobby and with that New York State of Mind or whatever.
I just play that song over instead.
Yeah.
No, I love the song that we chose.
Yeah, I do.
The song that we chose, like, you know, it's my friend Mike McGrainer, who's also a massive Friday 13th and horror fan. So like he put out a CD release of his first album, and I got it immediately, and I love the CD. Like it didn't leave my car for like, it's still in my car actually. So it hasn't left my car because I still have a CD in my car. Yeah. And I love that song, and I was just called City Lights. Yeah. And I was just like, oh my God, this is like a perfect way to start this movie, where it kind of like brings like this fun attitude towards a movie that you're about to watch. Like it almost feels like you're about to watch like an 80s movie, where
Yeah.
it starts off with like a city montage and it's like a
Yeah.
fun poppy kind of song. And I was just like, oh, this is totally what I have to do to like, because like you think Friday 13th, film, and you think like, oh, it's going to start off in the woods and it's going to be like creepy music and stuff like that. And it's just like, no, man, started off like an 80s fun poppy movie,
Yeah. Yeah, and that's another thing I loved about your New York scenes as well, is like it didn't go the Jason Takes Manhattan route where they literally made New York seem like it was the biggest ghetto in the world with drug addicts, and like and muggings and rats and
because
sewage
it was
problems.
Vancouver.
Yeah, like you
Yeah,
painted New York in a
it was
positive light.
Vancouver's version. What's up?
Yeah. I said that you painted New York as like a regular normal American type city. You know what I mean? Like you
Yeah.
didn't paint it as a stereotype, which I liked.
Well, also it's New York during the day.
Yeah, that's true too. That's true too.
And our entire movie takes place during the day, which I know is like different and kind of odd for a Friday 13th
Yeah.
movie. Like that we're just like, you know what? Because my idea was kind of like, well, if I do another one, then it would be like completely at night. So
Yeah.
I'd have my daytime movie and my nighttime movie,
There you go.
uh, and it helped the cinematographer out a lot immensely. He was excited that we were shooting all during the day because for generators and setting up lighting, it's just a lot easier. And we just didn't have the budget.
Yeah.
And if you notice, I mean, the movie's 40 minutes long and we have like a lot of locations
Yeah.
instead of, which, a lot of super low budget movies, like they usually are confined to just a couple of, locations.
Yeah.
And we shot at a lot of locations, which probably makes the film, in my mind, like seem a little longer than it is.
Yeah.
Because we go to so many different places. Because we go to a therapist's office, to the lake and cabin areas. And then, there's just too many locations, like that should be in a 40-minute movie,
Yeah. And I think the movie was not just perfectly like paced. It was and like 40 minutes is great for a fan film, but as I've sent to you after I watched it, the cinematography, beautiful. The angles, everything, like the filming of it was beautiful. The music was great. The audio matched up. The special effects was freaking phenomenal. And I'm telling you, I'm glad you didn't go like that CGI route. I love the practical effects.
Of course, yeah. I mean, you have to. Yeah, we didn't have anything CGI. There was like an effect that we did in one part, but it was like it wasn't. Yeah, there was no CGI or anything,
Right.
and we were thinking like, oh, no. I was gonna say when Megan shows up with the shotgun at the end, I was gonna add like extra smoke coming out of the gun barrel. I mean, there was smoke coming out, but it wasn't like enough to really notice that she had just fired off 3 shots. So I was like, oh, maybe we should digitally put some smoke, more smoke coming out of the gun barrel.
Right.
But then I was like, it's not going to look right. So just why bother? It's not about that. It's about the reveal that it's Megan saying, hello, Jason.
Exactly. And the fact that like with Freddy versus Jason, when the guard gets crushed by the door, that blood, like it's totally like digitalized blood. You could tell it's digitalized blood compared to like where, for example, your film, where you could tell it's practical effects. You could tell when it's practical and when it's digitalized. And I appreciate the practical effects more because it looks more real.
Thank you. Yeah, our effects guy, Ricky Vitus, he was awesome. Like he was, so worth getting. He's been a friend for years too. He was actually on the the Sci-Fi Face Off competition. He's actually one of the contestants on that.
Nice.
But he built the Jason suit, and it was so awesome. And I love all the little details he put into it, and even like the little algae and moss that he had. Like it was almost like Swamp Thingy Jason.
Yeah.
Mixed with Part 7, of course. But like all the practical effects, what was great, like, what's
I was
up?
gonna say Creature from Crystal Lake. Instead
The
of Creature
Creature
Black
from
Lagoon.
Crystal Lake. Oh, what a great name for a fan film!
Right?
That should be it. Somebody do that. Vin, stop with this never hike. Creature from, do it. Come on.
Creature from Crystal Lake. There we go. We have our
Peter
Guild
Anthony.
Jason. Our Guild Jason.
Come on. Peter Anthony, do that. Or somebody that can raise like $100,000 or something. Do the Creature from Crystal Lake. That's a great idea. But Swamp Jason. But what me and our cinematographer Sean decided, I mean, it's great that when we were editing it, because there was a lot more blood being thrown around than what you see, and we thought it would be cool, like, to go really old school Friday 13th, where like those early movies, they were edited down because of the MPAA and censors and stuff like that. So it's like, well, let's edit it like it was the old school Friday 13th movies. Like when the girl gets stabbed through the back and the machete comes out, like there was more blood that was like coming out. And I'm like, no, like back in like 1984, it would have just been like, whoosh, whoosh, and she's dead. And then they moved on to the next scene. It's like, let's keep this old school. If we're keeping it old school in the way it's shot and kind of the way it looks and stuff like that, like let's, like everything is grounded, ground level. Like we just tried to keep it as old school as possible, using 4K cameras as old school as possible, but like, so like the death scenes were like quick and done and like old school, except for the guy getting the rib in the eye, so which is of course going to be the favorite kill of the movie, because everything is kind of standard Jason kills until that part. So, and that's a kill that I've been thinking about for over 20 years, like somebody breaking off Jason's rib and then Jason using the rib as a weapon.
That was clever.
And stabbing.
Clever.
And we wanted it to be a really slow kill.
Right. And
yeah, we wanted it to be like a real slow kill because people like freak out when it comes to eye stuff. So it's like if it was quick, it would have been like, it's too quick. Let's do it like, Fulci style, like real slow and into the eye or something,
Yeah. And it worked. And it worked. It wasn't like it was human Jason. It was a zombie Jason, obviously. I mean, he came from under the lake. I mean, a human wouldn't survive that. I mean, I'm surprised Jason as a human survived what he did anyways. But
exactly.
Yeah, the rib, and I don't like the eye stuff neither. Like seeing somebody putting their finger in your eye, and like that really, gets you. And and the fact that you got the rib and you did that, and it was like Jason in part 8 with Susie Donaldson, he was slowly making her cower for her life before he gets her. Like that's kind of what it was, slowly going to get them.
And that's the thing too. Like some people I heard, like they had different ideas of like how Jason should be in the movies, or like it's like, oh, that wasn't very Jason-like, or whatever, however they perceive the character. So sometimes like he kills people quickly, and then other times he kind of like messes with people, and he kind of wants to like instill like fear in them. So he'll chase them around for a little bit. He knows he can catch them and kill them right away. Or like the guy in my film where he knows he can just like jam the rib really quick into the eye, but it's kind of like he wants to hear him scream. So so it's like, let's hear him. Like,
whereas with Katie,
let's mess with this guy.
Right. Whereas with Katie, hers was I got you. I got you. You're dead.
And she never even got to know what happened. Because she was looking the other way.
Yeah.
So so I wanted to I just want to do something different with that,
I thought it was a clever kill. I really enjoyed it. So we're almost out of time. Last question I do got for you: we already mentioned it briefly, but where can people watch Victim No More? And do you have anything else you would like to promote?
You could see Victim No More currently on YouTube. We just made it over 10,000 views.
Woohoo! Woo!
We're in the 5 figures now.
There you go. Party.
Part of time. I was gonna do a video of like, but I still feel like 10,000 is still like on the lower end.
Yeah.
If we get to 100,000, I'll do a video of like just thanking everybody to bring it to that level and everything. I was gonna do it today, actually. Do the, woo, 10,000. Thank you guys so much.
Jason in a party hat, confetti.
Yeah, exactly. Oh, believe me, there'll be a party once we hit 100,000 K. I might do. Actually, we'll have the Blu-rays by then, so we might do like a whole like fun promotion party kind of thing.
Awesome.
But you could see it on YouTube. You could see it on Vimeo if you're part of Vimeo, and our website victimnomorefilm.com, which probably in the next month or so we're gonna like put up merchandise where you can like get t-shirts like this, and like the teaser poster. You can get posters, pins, beanies, hats. The Blu-ray will be available, and we'll have like little packages where the Blu-ray will be part of it or something. So it'll be on that website, and I'll be promoting it. You can find me on Facebook, Victim No More on Facebook, and Bobby Heckman on Facebook, and Instagram, VNM_2020 is on Instagram. I don't do Twitter really because I just don't. I've never liked Twitter, so
yeah, I'm not a really big fan anyways either.
Yeah, I know I could get more views and more promotion out of Twitter that I can, but I don't want to. I just don't want to. And also I just, I want to promote that the Blu-ray is coming out soon. Once we're going to start, within the next month or so, we should have the Blu-rays, and I wanted to go with the Blu-rays. I wanted to do the clear cases, like the box set that we have. So if you like the movie enough, you could just pop it in your box set. Just take the special features disc out, and you could have Friday the 13th Part 1 to 12 basically, and Victim No More. I wanted to.
Ironically, the 13th film in the box set.
And then it could be the 13th film in the box set. Hey, you said it. And what happens at the end of that movie? It's the end of Jason. Spoilers.
There you go.
But not really.
Not really.
And I also want to promote also that when we do hit 100,000 views on YouTube, I said it on Facebook, and I'm saying it here, that I have 2 sequels in mind that I want to do. So there'll be a Victim No More 2 and 3, which will be a final chapter to a trilogy.
No pun intended.
And no pun intended. And never say final. So the word final will not be in the title because that's always a lie. But it will be a Victim No More trilogy, and I hope to raise the money we can to make those 2 films.
Nice. And we did get 2 finals in Friday the 13th. We got the final chapter and the final Friday. The final victim.
The final victim ever on the planet Earth. So I don't want to say final, but I really, the more I think about it, the more I really want to make it a trilogy. And I have a lot of stories to tell, which I won't spoil here because that's after we get 100,000 views. And I don't know if they'll be feature length. I think they still might keep it short and tight and have the quality, be as good as.
I think the way you did this one was really good. 40 minutes is a good time you know, and it was enough time that you got to tell the story and make the movie you wanted to make.
Yeah, yeah, and I'm glad it was. I mean, it was a little longer when it was a script, and I did cut out a couple of parts, a couple of scenes, and it made it just tighter. It was the story that needed to be told,
Yeah.
and excuse me, and yeah, I thought that was long enough. Sometimes when it's a low budget and movies go on too long, it can drag here and there if it doesn't have like the budget to
Yeah.
like back it.
Yeah.
So I just wanted to make it entertaining and, you know, told like a short film. It's it feels like almost like a pilot episode of a TV series, like 40 minutes,
Absolutely. And it was great. I thank you so much, Bobby, for joining me this evening.
Thank you.
Yep, absolutely. And
Thank you so much. And I will come back whenever you want. I'll come back.
Yeah, absolutely. I would love to have you back on. And for anybody watching this on YouTube, don't forget, slash that subscribe button. You know you want to. Hit the like, comment, share on social media. Do what you can. If you're listening on audio only, where it's on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Podcasts, etc., 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 make sure to rate, comment, like, share that on social media as well. And of course, Slasher Scotty merch. Get your Slasher Scotty merch from my merchandiser on virtual merch booths. Thank you so much, Bobby. It's been an honor and a pleasure to have you on again. And I'm so glad to have you and Mr. Mahoney on my show.
Mr. Mahoney. All right, man. Have a great one, man. Enjoy the rest of the night. And I'll talk to you soon.
Absolutely.
Right. Bye.
Bye.